Hi, it's me again. Today we're going to work on a lathe. It's a nice fun tool to use. You can turn a vase like this, smaller ones, almost any size. The sky's the limit. And spot for your spouse. And today we're also going to work on 4 lathes for a table. So we'll move to the lathe in a minute. I cheat a little bit, so here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to score these a little bit with the Japanese saw. The reason for that is so that these corners don't chip out when you put the blade to it. So I'm going to score these on all 4 sides. Just barely, just cut into it. It makes my work a little bit easier. This one takes minutes. Then I'm going to cut it at a little bit of an angle, like 30 degree, 40 degree angle, something like that, just to score the edges. Okay, now we're going to move over to the lathe. Now, to find the exact center, here's what I do. You just go from corner to corner. You make a line, okay? The other corner. Now, right where these lines meet, you just use a sharp tool like this. Here, it's called an awl. You just tap a little hole right smack in the middle, just enough to make an indentation. You do the same to the other side so that you have the center of this little block. Okay, now we're going to move on over to the lathe. Now that you got the piece centered on the lathe, here's what you do. You got to move this tool rest. Now that the piece is centered on there, you have this in place. I set this about 1/4 inches away from the corners. We don't want to get too close because we don't want this to hit the actual piece. You're going to stay about 1/4 inch away. Okay, try to get it so that it's pretty straight in line with the piece. So you might have to make minor adjustments. Now we're ready to go. I'm going to put on the dust mask. Now I use a spindle gouge. This removes a lot of stock. You got to be careful with this. You just barely edge it, just so you barely touch the wood. Make sure you wear the proper equipment. I got goggles, I got a dust mask, and you might consider some earplugs. Sometimes these tools do get noisy. I'm not going to wear them now, but that's at your discretion. We're ready to start. Here we go. Rounded off this piece. This is completely round. This is where you start your design. You're going to cut maybe just a ball down here. Okay, now to create a design, I'm going to create a ball. I'm going to come up from the bottom about 1 inch. I'm going to come up to 2. I'm going to go to 2 inches. So here we go. Now we easily just turn the lathe here at the mark that you had. Just keep this pencil. Keep it right where the mark is, and you turn it. Now you got. Now here's what you're going to use. You're going to use what they call a parting tool. This is the parting tool. Here's what you're going to do. Check that. Make sure it's nice and snug. 1/8 to a 1/2 inch, no more than a half, somewhere between 3/8 and a 1/2 inch deep. And then what you're going to do, you're going to loosen your tool holder, and you're going to put it in a slight angle. Make sure you're not touching the wood itself. It's about 1/8 of an inch away. So we're ready to start tapering it now. Here we go. Basically, the leg is shaped. Now all you have to do is sand it down. I'm going to show you how that's done. I'm going to remove this so it'll be out of the way so it'll be easier for me to do my sanding. I don't need this for the sanding, so that's out of the way. You can use a 40 to 60 grit to start off with. Now that that's done, basically the leg is done. You might want to sand it down a little smoother than that if your work isn't rustic like mine is. You might have to touch up a corner here and there, but basically the leg is done. You might just have to take a little more off of here, off of the four corners, and wherever it chipped out a little bit, you just can do that with a hand file. So basically, this little leg is ready, and it took no more than about 15 to 20 minutes to do. So it's 15 to 20 minutes per leg. So, but be careful because working with tools is extremely dangerous. I did this fast. The beginner is not going to master this lathe like I did. I've been doing this for 40 years. So you're not going to work that fast if you're a beginner. But be extremely careful. But this is basically how it's done. And you can add a lot of different more intricate patterns to it as you get better and better. And I suggest that when you start out with a small, thin leg because the bigger the legs get, the harder it is. I'm going to show you what can be done. Okay, you can do a lot of things on a small lathe. This big fat ass leg can be turned on this small lathe. It's going to take a little longer than 15 or 20 minutes, but it can be done. This will take me about an hour and a half each. For the beginner, it's going to take a little longer than that. As the piece gets bigger, it gets a little scarier. So you start out with a small piece like this. After maybe a year's time, if you're good at it, if you're a fast learner, you can probably turn out something like this. So, my name is Mario. If you like this video and you want to see more, please hit like and subscribe. Thank you and have a good day.